So Stephen's here. We're going straight to the US, in fact. Authorities charging 7 people over what they say is the biggest money laundering case in history.
Yeah, that's right. A story that spans 17 countries and involves $6 billion worth of illegal transactions. It concerns an online currency operator called Liberty Reserve, which prosecutors are describing as the financial crime, cybercrime hub of the world. Now, by keeping the identity of their users private, the US authorities say the system allowed for a broad range of criminal activity. Mark Edwards has the details.
It's been called the biggest money laundering case the US has ever seen. The currency transfer and payment processing company has been accused of being the financial hub of the cybercrime world.
Liberty Reserve was intentionally created and structured to facilitate criminal activity. It was essentially a black market bank. As alleged, Liberty Reserve deliberately operated in a way to attract and aid criminals who wished to use digital currency to break the law and to launder the proceeds of their crimes.
Crimes which included credit card fraud, identity theft, computer hacking, child pornography and drug trafficking, according to US authorities. Liberty Reserve was incorporated in Costa Rica in 2006 by Arthur Budowski, who was arrested in Spain on Friday. He was among 7 people charged in the case. The Liberty Reserve service allowed account holders to send and receive payments from anywhere in the world, with anonymity at the forefront of operations. Account holders were not required to prove their identity. They converted local currency into Liberty Reserve dollars using third-party exchangers who forwarded the money to Liberty Reserve for a fee. The use of these middlemen rendering transfers even more opaque. Liberty Reserve charged a 1% fee for currency transfers and an additional privacy fee of 75 cents per transaction to hide account numbers, making the transfer virtually untraceable. According to the indictment, the company processed some 55 million financial transactions worth $6 billion before it was shut down earlier this month.
Okay, we're going to stay in the US for this next story, actually. Confidence in the economy there, hitting a 5-year high.
Yeah, contrast that with the position we got in France on Tuesday, where we learned that the quite opposite consumer confidence is at its lowest in nearly 5 years. Now, the reasons for this are many. Most recent good economic data we got from the US was on house prices, rising at their fastest rate in 7 years. House prices are 11% higher in March of this year than they were compared to the previous year. That had a positive effect on Wall Street trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit its record high of 15,409 in trading yesterday, closing up. That's also having a positive knock-on effect on the Asia markets in trading today. But just one note on China. The IMF has revised down its growth forecast to China to 7.75% from a previous high of 8%.
Now, Facebook's got itself into a spot of bother, really, with its advertisers, hasn't it?
Yeah, a number of big brands, including the car maker Nissan and the skincare brand Dove, have pulled their advertising from the social networks after a series of complaints from women's rights groups that these ads were being placed next to images which were offensive or misogynistic. Now, Facebook has investigated this content and removed the offensive elements of it, they say, but screenshots of the 2 images, the ad and the offensive imagery side by side, were posted online, which caused embarrassment for the companies involved, which is why they pulled their advertising. Embarrassing too for Facebook. They're trying to push up their advertising revenue. They've made good progress this year so far in growing their revenues, but will be keen to try and wrap this up as soon as possible to avoid the embarrassment.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the day's other business stories for you. The US retailer Walmart has been fined almost $82 million after admitting it broke a series of environmental laws. The company pleaded guilty to charges of improperly disposing of pesticides and other hazardous products. The illegal dumping happened in 16 countries in California. The case has been going on for nearly 10 years and has cost Walmart a total of $110 million.
The media giant News Corporation has unveiled the new logo for its publishing arm, which is modelled on the handwriting of the company's founder Rupert Murdoch. News Corp is splitting its struggling newspaper and book unit from its TV and movie business by the end of June. Shares in the company have risen by 65% since the split was announced.
The owners of Newsweek are looking for a buyer for the magazine 3 years after it was sold for just $1. The 80-year-old publication stopped its print edition last year in favour of a digital-only version. IAC took a stake in Newsweek in 2010, but reports this Wednesday say they're trying to sell it on again.
And Nike says it's dropping its partnership with the Livestrong Foundation, the charity founded by disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong. The sportswear brand is to end its production of Livestrong merchandise at the end of the year. Nike's long-standing relationship with the charity has helped it raise $100 million.
Now, like in much of the world, of course, online grocery shopping is becoming more popular here in France. French supermarkets have begun opening drive-through outlets where shoppers can order online and then collect their goods. But it is causing some controversy as the pick-up points aren't subject to the same regulations as normal shops. Josh Vardy has the story.
The drive-through supermarket, a new phenomenon which threatens to take over the French countryside. Here in Moselle, northeast France, 2 drive-through supermarkets have popped up in less than a month.
The Leclerc over there is our hypermarket. Then you've got the Leclerc Drive, which is just next door and has just been built. And over here, there's the Chrono Drive, which came in a few weeks ago, 50 metres away.
It's an idea that's clearly catching on among supermarket chains. Around 1 in 5 French people who do regular shopping now do it online, before going to one of these distribution points to pick it up.
It's much quicker and I save money too. I go around the shop less and there's less hanging around.
I have my 2 daughters with me. It gives me more time by not having to go into the shop. And I don't lose my patience in the supermarket.
Currently, almost 2,000 drive-thrus are in development across France, and there's another reason why supermarket chains like them so much. There's less regulation. These buildings don't count as normal shops and so don't require the same permit.
There's no need to put in an application at the Commission for Commercial Buildings. It counts as a warehouse.
By 2015, it's estimated that these warehouses will bring in around €6 billion in profits, but this huge expansion across the country has started to worry the government. New regulations already being discussed.
And finally, proof for you that you cannot please all of the people all of the time. Mixed reviews of a TV series of hit shares in the online streaming service Netflix.
Yeah, this was the TV event of the year for many people, the return of the Emmy award-winning Arrested Development. It was 7 years ago since it was cancelled by Fox. Netflix took up the series and have revived it after 7 years. They released all 15 episodes in the series on Sunday, something which didn't enamour them to the critics, though the critics said that New York Times particularly said that Netflix had killed the series. Now, the company had been hoping that this would attract more subscribers. They've got nearly 30 million already. Investors, though, not very happy with how the reviews have gone. Shares fell by 6% in Netflix on trading on Tuesday.
I asked you an hour ago if you set your own up. You've had an hour. Have you managed to do that yet?
Not yet, no. We won't be having an on-demand a whole week.
Stephen Carroll business bulletins. On Monday, you get the news for Friday. It's the way forward, I tell you. Thanks, Stephen. Stephen with the business. Claire will be here after the break. Stay with us.